Hello PPL fans, welcome to the post-week 1 heat of the week. My name is Shroomraver, that is OnesieBanette. We're here to bring you some of the heat sets from week 1. How are we doing, man?
I'm doing good. I'm very excited to get into some of these spicy sets that we've had this week. We've had some very interesting stuff, and I can't wait to really show you all.
Yeah, absolutely. And to see so many coming out of week 1, it's fun. I like to see coaches just going balls to the wall immediately from week 1, just going straight in with, we might not say memes, but we would say outside of the box thinking, which we love to see.
Certainly unorthodox. That's the word I would use for it. They're bordering on the territory, but we had some good usage for these this week. So yeah, shall we jump straight into our number 3 pick?
Yes, absolutely. Why don't you tell us about number 3?
Okie dokie. So our number 3 pick for this week, we've gone with Ellie and her Shanghai Dragons picking a defensive setup Rev Room this week. The set basically was Rocky Helmet to sponge hits from Q's offensive threats, and also went with a Shift Gear Iron Head for a late game sweep. So it had the dual functionality, and it looked really strong during the game. It looked like it was a win con, and it was something Ellie was sort of banking on pulling out the win at the end. Unfortunately, it didn't quite go to plan, and I'm sure we'll get on to talk about why a little bit later, but I just thought it was really interesting to see a mon that's kind of being used for this defensive role also have that offensive versatility going for it. Yeah, what did you think of this game?
I liked it. I mean, this game was one of the big talking points of the week, and we'll get into more of that a bit later on in the video. But yeah, we like seeing mixing up of general sort of Pokemon roles and the sets they're running. Rev Room, obviously, we know gets Shift Gear, we know it can run an effective defensive set. It's not every day, especially in week 1 of this kind of league, you're going to see the two merge together. Defensive Pokemon set up that offensive stuff, and like you say, would have pulled off something very special had it not been for something just that little bit more special and perfectly timed. We'll come on to shortly afterwards.
Exactly, and we absolutely shall. But before we even get to that number, well, yeah, before we even move on to that sort of spiciness, we have another spicy set to be moving on to with our number 2 pick. And our number 2 pick comes from a different game. It comes from the matchup between Grey and Envy. And it is Envy's multi-purpose Ursaluna, I think you very eloquently put it.
Yeah, I was a big fan of this set. Coming in with a classic Envy EV spread, just for the untrained eye, it looks like he's just thrown EVs all over the place. But as we all know with Envy, everything is meticulous, everything is planned, everything is specific. And for this Ursaluna in particular, we had a lot of bulk going in there, we had a lot of attack, we had buffs in both defenses. Pasho Berry on there, we had, I believe the set was Earthquake, Ice Punch, Counter, and a move that escapes my thinking at the moment. But main point of it was that Ursaluna was going to come in, hit super hard with its attacking moves, and then at the same time be able to sponge in hits, take a super effective water move, possibly from the Quaquaval with the Pasho Berry, and hit back with a very powerful counter, and it worked, you know? Ursaluna had already done a decent amount of damage to Hisui and Gudra, broken that Shuka Berry, in comes the Dragon Dance Mew to start setting up. Envy starts hammering it with attacks, puts Jack in a position where he has to attack, and Envy very intelligently predicting a Drain Punch, going for his best move. There comes that defensive counter to come in and take out the Dragon Dance threat. A brilliantly well put together set, and expertly played.
Absolutely expertly played. And as much as I enjoyed the set, I think my favourite part about that segment is you calling Ursaluna Ursalana.
We'll pretend that didn't happen. I haven't played Legends of Arceus, so I don't know the pronunciations. I haven't played that game. I'm just happy to be here.
Sorry, you know I had to call you out on that.
I would expect absolutely nothing less. But yeah, I don't know the pronunciations. I haven't played that game myself. But seeing the Ursaluna in action was fantastic to see. It's always nice when a plan comes together, and it really did for Envy. It helped put him in a very promising position. And then, he did get unfortunate, it has to be said. But that's a story for another video. That's a story for other videos on the PPL channel, which you can check out in the description down below. Make sure you check out all the links.
Absolutely.
Throw in a little mid-video plug, why not?
Hey, that's the best place for them, right?
Absolutely. But yes, big fantastic stuff from Envy there, coming in at number 2. And before we get on to number 1, we would like to throw out some honourable mentions to some sets that were fun, but didn't necessarily see action the way they wanted. Starting off, Addison coming in with Floatstone Gastrodon, a very fun set to lighten the weight on the Gastrodon to be able to take 2 Grass Knots from a Thunderous and win that matchup. Love that tech.
Very, very good tech. If that had worked, if it had done more work during the game, it probably would have found itself in the top 3, because you never really see Floatstone used.
No.
It's such an unconventional item that just... I mean, if you look on Pokemon Showdown, it's literally in the usually useless items section.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it's not something that gets used, but fun to see it. Fun to see it given credit where it was due. It was a very fun build from Addison. Really enjoyed that.
Absolutely. We know Addison's got that in her locker anyway, so I'm expecting some more interesting memes later on in the season. But,
definitely.
Moving on to one of our other honourable mentions, we have Shockwoking's Blunder Policy Sing Belly Drum Azumarill. It's a bit of a mouthful to say, but yes, I adore the fact that Blunder Policy is an item. I just think it's such a fun idea for an item, and to see it used in such an unconventional way, like being partnered with moves like Zap Cannon and Sing, especially on this Azumarill, I just thought that was such a clever idea and something that Shockwooking just has in his locker. I think the idea of it was that they were trying to sing a couple of the heavy counters, and obviously if it didn't work, then they'd have the ability to go for the belly drum and get the sweep later. It didn't end up clicking Sing during the game, which is a crying shame. But if it had, that would have just been the hypest moment.
Yeah, I believe he was prepping for the Slowbro. I think in Shockwoking's mind, the ideal scenario was Slowbro comes in on the Azumarill. Azumarill goes for Sing and misses, gets the Blunder Policy. Azumarill goes for Sing again and hits, then belly drums, then basically kills everything in this game and probably several others. The Slowking got the Slowbro, got paralysed quite early on, so he didn't get the chance to go for Sing, but it does feature on the honourable mentions because it did get the belly drum off and did one-shot the Slowbro. So part of it worked. Unfortunate not to see the Sing, but it be that way sometimes.
I do have to say, it's so unfortunate that if a Pokemon's already statused and you go for a move like Sing or something, it doesn't proc the Blunder Policy. That's just a crying shame. That's something that we need patched out.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that it couldn't work that way, but half worked, and that's why it features. The final honourable mention we have is going to be Kelly, under the radar, coming in with Trick Lagging Tail Rotom Heat. Big fan of this set. The plan here was to trick the Lagging Tail over to Volcarona. Volcarona would normally have a fairly easy time setting up on Rotom Heat. The idea being trick the Lagging Tail over. Doesn't matter how many Quiver Dances Volcarona gets up, it's going to be going last, and I think he was hoping to get heavy duty boots off of it, so if it then switched out, coming back in on rocks, taking the damage. Didn't work entirely how Kelly was hoping, but he did get the Trick Lagging Tail off, and it did allow him then to outspeed Sandy Shocks and kill that with the Overheat, I believe it was, so it worked, just not against the mon he was intending it for.
Very unfortunate. We know Kelly's got these up his sleeve. He's been doing it for years. He loves an amazing meme set, and it's just a bit unfortunate it didn't quite work out the way he planned in this game, but I'm fully expecting to see some Kelly memes later on in the season. And when Kelly memes, Kelly memes.
Oh, he does. We've probably both been on the receiving end of that. I know for sure I have in the past. So I'm expecting heat things from Kelly coming forward.
I think my favourite thing versus Kelly was when we both ended up memeing super heavily and I killed a Garchomp with a Spritzy.
Beautiful. Things we love to see. That right there.
Fantastic. Speaking of things we love to see, though,
Oh yeah.
I think it's time to move on to our winner of this week for our Heat of the Week. And our Heat of the Week, why don't you do us the honours?
Heat of the week comes from a game we've already discussed. We talked about Ellie's Reverum, and what it was that cut short that potential sweep is what we're talking about, and that is going to be Q's Hisuian Lilligant with Mirror Herb. So, the idea here obviously is get Hisuian Lilligant in on something that's setting up. There were options obviously for Shift Gear, Belly Drum, I think Ellie has in her arsenal as well. There was a lot of setup options. The idea was get Hisuian Lilligant in, steal those boosts, or at least copy them, and then counter sweep with the stolen boosts. And that is exactly what happened. Ellie was backed into a corner and had to set up with the Reverum. In comes Hisuian Lilligant on the Shift Gear, who then takes those Shift Gear boosts for itself as well. And then one step further. Reverum is one of Ellie's Terra captains, and normally a Steel Poison type. Q was able to predict the Terra. He was actually predicting flying, I believe. Ellie terrored into ground, and Q went for the Ice Spinner, a normally resisted move, on the predicted Terra, and proceeded from there to grab the sweep. A perfectly planned and executed heat set.
I mean, we can't say fairer than that, can we? It's not just the fact that the initial item choice worked. It's not just the fact that he initially switched in at the perfect time to make sure it worked. It's also the fact that he followed it up with a successful prediction the next turn and managed to get the sweep. I mean, when we're talking about heat, that's not just heat. That's like on a whole different Scoville level.
I believe Ellie at the time went for the Terror, saw the Ice Spinner incoming, and just like held her hands up and was just like, yeah, that's fair. And you can't say fairer than that when your opponent appreciates the read. It's just like, there's nothing I can do here. I've just been outplayed.
Exactly.
Not to say Ellie played well throughout the game as well, but that was just the thing that took it. A perfectly executed plan, an excellent read, and a subsequent sweep. What more can you ask for?
Absolutely nothing more. Absolutely perfect game plan. Absolutely perfect week one for Q the Costa Rican. But more importantly than a victory, Q the Costa Rican, you are the winner of our Heat of the Week.
Absolutely. And yeah, I think that's going to wrap things up from us. Do you agree with us? Was there any other heat sets that you think we missed that should have been included? Let us know in the comment section down below. We love hearing from you guys. Obviously, you know me and Alex, we've been with the PPL from the start. We love hearing from the PPL fans. It's always a pleasure. So let us know if you agree. Let us know what sets you love to see as well. And let us know what kind of heat you're expecting in the future. We've got some fantastic coaches, and none of them are averse to using heat sets. So we are going to have our work cut out in the weeks to come, and I'm looking forward to it.
Me too, my dude. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Laters.